Hello YouTube, Fat Man the Beard here, doing another music video today. I was going to do this one after I had done my nerd block, but apparently, and I hate to say this, Canadian mail system's not that great. Looks like my nerd block got lost in the mail. It was supposed to be here last Thursday, and it never showed up, so I'm assuming it's lost in the mail, which is unfortunate because I was really hoping to do that today. Oh, and you can see I'm wearing my new Reanimator t-shirt. Hopefully everybody can see that. So instead, I'm going to do my top 10 metal albums of all time. I think I have a pretty good list here. I know there's going to be people that disagree. And I know there's going to be albums that people are going to disagree with on here, but I think I have a good reason for having all of them on this list, and I think they all deserve to be on it. And obviously I could probably do a top 50 or 100 and go on forever, but I figured I'd do a top 10 and the reasons why, and let people can comment and let me know what you think. Tell me to fuck off. I don't know. These are just my opinions, so let's get to it. This first one, number 10, I struggle with a lot. I had about 3 different albums I was going to go with. I chose this one because I felt like this is an important album. It's a different album, and that is Korn's first album, their self-titled album. And I went with Korn's first album, because when this came out, no one was doing anything like this. The tuning on the guitars, the 7-strings tuning system that they used was very different. It gave them a much different sound than any other band out there. And I did re-listen to this, some of this album today, just to make the decision. And I felt like this album still just holds up. I really enjoyed their first and their second album. I don't really care for anything else after that. I think they got too into the hip-hop and rap thing, and I just don't like that. But this album is definitely, I don't care what anyone says, this is a metal album through and through. It just, as soon as Blind kicks in, it's just powerful, man. This is a really solid album, and recently it came out that they holed up in this studio. Well, it was a house, but they converted it into a studio out somewhere in California, out of the city limits, and just holed up there and did a shitload of drugs, and they definitely admitted to using a ton of meth, and you can hear it. It's just a very drug-fueled, angry album. And you can definitely hear that in that album. The next one, even number 9, I had a bit of trouble with, and people may not agree with this album, but that's Danzig's How the Gods Kill. Now, this isn't an exceptionally heavy album, but what is heavy on there is really good. This is a very dark album. Yeah, anybody that's listened to this, Dirty Black Summer, How the Gods Kill. This album's just, this is Danzig's best work right here. I really enjoy this album. Not that Danzig didn't do a lot of great stuff, but this, How the Gods Kill, is by far their best work, and had a lot of hits off of this album. So that was my number 9 pick. And I did struggle with this one too. So, number 8's another one. Probably most people will not agree with it. This is a metal album. I'm going to disagree, just because of how just intense this album is, and that is 9 Inch Nails' The Downward Spiral. The Downward Spiral is just, and I think most everybody's listened to this album, and it's just, some of the songs are very slow. It's not necessarily a metal sound, but what is metal on there is definitely intense. And I think a lot of people forget that Trent Reznor is 9 Inch Nails. He writes the whole album. Whenever you see them live, that's just his band. He writes all the music, writes all the lyrics. Everything is Trent Reznor. And so, for one person doing an album, this is a highly impressive album. And I definitely think it deserves to be on the list. And this one, number 7, I think is another one people are definitely going to disagree with, that it's a metal album. I think they're wrong. And that's Marilyn Manson's Antichrist Superstar. And Antichrist Superstar was one of those albums that came out, I think between 1995 and 96, somewhere in there. And I did go see this tour here in Oregon when it came into town, and it was a really great show. But this album, and none of his other work sounds like this. Antichrist Superstar is just, it's a standalone album. Everything after that is pretty much horrible. There are a few songs, there's about a handful of songs I liked, but Antichrist Superstar, man, you can just hear the heavy drug use in every song, you know, from Tourniquet to even the mainstream one, Beautiful People, and in all of their imagery and stuff is just, that album is dark, and all the songs are extremely heavy. And I think obviously they went downhill after they lost Twiggy. Twiggy is really the brains behind the operation, in my opinion. I mean, Marilyn Manson's an extremely intelligent guy, but musically, the reason that album soars is because of Twiggy, and he definitely understands how music works. So yeah, that's my pick for that. What are we at? Number 6. This was an easy one for me, and that's Ministry's Psalm 69. Yeah, Psalm 69 album. This album is just Jesus Built My Hot Rod and New World Order and Just One Fix. That song alone right there, people. Oh my God. Al Jorgensen, what a maniac. This is just a brutal album. I mean, and there's actually a documentary out called Fix, and it chronicles the Psalm 69 tour, and I believe the next tour, the Sphincter tour after that. And this is Al Jorgensen, just heroin and alcohol fueled, and it shows all the backstage stuff that goes on and how crazy Al is. And then at moments where Al is very clear-headed and is a very intelligent individual, and he's a very extremely talented musician and artist, and this album definitely deserves to be on the list. They did, and after that, they're and same with Marilyn Manson and Ministry. After Psalm 69, that they didn't really do much, and to this day, nothing really sounds like that album. Al is now clean. I think he's been clean for several years now. I think about 10 years or something like that, and so they definitely lost their edge. And he's older. I think he's in his 50s now, so it doesn't hold up as much. But that album is still just one of my favorite albums. The next one, this is number 5, and this one was another really easy one for me. Although I'll have some friends out there that don't like these guys and don't think they're so great. And that is Cradle of Filth, Nymphetamine. This album, Nymphetamine, came out about, I don't know, it's probably been 8 years, something like that, 9 years. But Nymphetamine marked a definite change in Cradle of Filth as far as musically and the way Danny Filth was singing. All the albums before that, Danny Filth's voice is almost impossible to understand anything that guy says. But this album, they didn't go, I hate to say this, they didn't go as heavy as they had maybe before, it was a little more digestible, and you could definitely hear his lyrics. But still, I mean, this album, I mean, just from the get-go, I mean, Gilded Cunt, all these songs on here, just just a throat punch right there. That they're just and they've done the next album, I believe, was called Thornography, and it was still pretty good, but they haven't really done a good album since then. But Nymphetamine, of all the collection of albums that they have out, this is by far their best. Number 4 was another really easy one, and that is Lamb of God's Ashes in the Wake. And this album is just brutal, man. I listened to this album a lot. I really, really love Ashes in the Wake. His voice, I don't know the singer's name, but his voice is just amazing. For somebody who has a very deep voice, it's very clear and it's very easy to understand. But if you aren't listening, this is an album. If you're into metal and you don't know this album, run out and buy this album, because this whole album is just a very good album. Now we're getting down to the top 3. So let's forge on. This album was. A lot of people might have some problems with this album. I don't. I think it's a very good album. I definitely think it deserves number 3, and that is Slipknot's Iowa album. Iowa is their second album, and it. Their first, not that their first album isn't good. I did like their first album, but Iowa is just leagues ahead of that one. They definitely refined their sound. They got better equipment, clearly. Learned to play a little better and understand what worked. But man, just everything. People Equal Shit. That song and everything on this album is just... oh my gosh. I can't say enough good things about this album. And then again, another one where their first album it's good, and this album just blows it out of the water. And then everything else since then that Slipknot's done, Duality, that song was pretty good, and they had a few other songs that were fairly decent. But other than that, they haven't really done much that really compares to this album. And that happens with a lot of bands, you know, they go through ups and downs. But this album is their best work by far. And this number 2 spot, this is probably I would definitely say my favorite metal band of all time. Next, well, it's probably tied with first place. That I'll get to that, and that's Type O Negative, Bloody Kisses. Bloody Kisses came out, I think, around 1993 or 94. And I believe that at one time, a couple years back, I think like one of the different rock stations, like TV channels or something, did like a top 100 metal albums, and this actually was number 1 a couple years back. I mean, come on, let's look at these guys. I mean, can you see these guys? I mean, that's metal right there. Look at those dudes. I mean, come on. You know, when your lead singer is 7 foot tall and he plays an upright bass like a regular bass with chain, he used chain as his strap. I mean, once you've done that, I mean, that's fucking metal. You're the, I mean, I don't care what you say, but that's fucking metal. And this album, the whole entire album is really solid. It's got this very, you know, they're definitely influenced by Black Sabbath. You can tell there's a very heavy influence of Black Sabbath there, and also a very heavy influence of probably bands like Sisters of Mercy, The Cure, you know, and a lot of those darker goth, Christian Death, things like that. There, you can tell they have a very heavy goth influence, especially in Peter Steele's writing. Rest in peace, Peter. He is no longer with us, if you guys didn't already know that. And this Bloody Kisses, yeah, and then their next album, which is October Rust, which October Rust is an equally solid album, but not as heavy as this one. And everything pretty much Typo Negative did after that, I believe they have 3 more albums after that, is all pretty solid work. But this is, Bloody Kisses is definitely their standout work. And now, to the #1 album, the most metal fucking shit out there. And I'm sorry, folks, but this is the album to beat all albums. Pantera's Far Beyond fucking Driven. Sorry. I've listened to this album probably more than any other album out there. Hands down. This is the album that gets probably the most play in my CD player. Not that Vulgar Display of Power, which I almost did put in there, isn't good and it isn't heavy, but oh my god, you know, you could see the transformation. You know, Cowboys from Hell, it still had a little butt rock influence in there, and you could definitely hear that in the music and in Phil Ensemble's voice as well. He was still doing a little bit of the 80s hair scream in there, and not that it's a bad album by any means, but you could definitely see the progression of Pantera, you know, from Vulgar Display of Power, and then when this album came out, like I said, this was just a kick in the nuts. It was just so brutal, and just some of the tightest shit I've ever heard. I mean, the guitar playing is just so good. Vinnie Paul, even on Vinnie Paul on the drums, is just fucking brutal, man. This is some good shit right here. We used to, if you're familiar with Pantera, they put out a home video every album, I believe. Well, at least for the first 3 albums. Cowboy from Hell, there was a video. There was Vulgar videos, and then the third one, which documents Far Beyond Driven and some of the Great Southern Trendkill, but mostly it's them on tour during Far Beyond Driven, and it's called the Pantera Home Video 3, and I swear to God, I know every inch of that video. I mean, I can quote it so well, and I don't think I've ever watched it sober, ever. I think I only have watched that drinking, but it's just, they really knew how to put out a home video with just really cool stuff, really cool backstage stuff, and you could tell just how much they love doing what they do. And unfortunately, some crazy fucker went and shot Dimebag Darrell after they had split up, and they formed Damage Plan without Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown on bass. And that's unfortunate that there's still dicks like that out there that do things like that over bands breaking up and stupidity and things of that nature. I mean, yes, the man was supposedly psychotic, but it still doesn't, in my opinion. And believe me, I work in mental health, and it just pisses me off that people still go out and shoot other people over stupid ass shit. And unfortunately, it ruined the career of probably one of the best guitar players, metal guitar players out there. But yeah, if you really like Pantera, definitely buy the Pantera Home Video 3. It's a lot of fun. It's very long. I think it's like 2 hours or something like that, and it's got a lot of really cool stuff on it. And Dimebag came up even with his own drink, which is the Blacktooth Green, is how he would say it. And it's a little bit of Black Velvet or Crown Royal mixed with just a tiny bit of Coke, and you do it as a shot. and it's become kind of a drinking game among people. But yeah, Pantera is one of those bands that I really just I have a lot of love for. Unfortunately, their last album, Reinventing the Steel, wasn't very good, and that's unfortunate. And we'll never know what could have come from them. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's my spiel. Let me know what you let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys think about metal, and what are the bands you think, or not bands, but let's stick with albums. What albums do you think should have been on the list, or not on the list? What do you think that I put on there that shouldn't have been? Let me know. I mean, guys, I take all constructive criticism, and hopefully, guys, my nerd block will show up this week. I don't know, Canada. What are you gonna do? I love them. I love Canada. I love Canadians. But hopefully that'll show up. Also, my horror block just shipped, I think, yesterday or the day before. So hopefully that'll be here soon. And in one of those videos, I missed showing off some of my Comic-Con stuff. And I want to talk about a few artists and a few vendors that were there. They have their own websites, so I'll talk about those, and I'll list those, the links for those in the next video. So yeah. So that's it for me, guys. I will see you later. Take care.